All right, let's pull back the curtain on how the internet actually, well, how it talks. We're diving into the two main ways our devices have conversations online. One is the absolute workhorse we all use every single second, and the other? That's the secret sauce that powers all the live, instant experiences we love, like group chats and real-time games.
I mean, have you ever really thought about this? Why does typing in a Google Doc feel so seamless and live, but browsing a news site is just this series of clicks and waiting for reloads? The answer to that is what we're all about today. It's all in the protocol. And understanding these two is going to give you a whole new appreciation for how the modern web works. Let's start with the OG.
So first up is the protocol that literally built the web as we know it, HTTP. You got to think of it as the original, essential tool in the toolbox. It was designed for a very specific and, you could say, a very polite kind of conversation. At its core, HTTP is actually pretty simple. Your browser, the client, makes a request. It says, hey, can I have this web page? And the server on the other end finds it and sends back a response. Sure, here you go. That simple back and forth, that request response, is the foundation for almost every single website you've ever visited.
You know, the best analogy for this is sending a letter through the mail. Seriously, you write your request, you send it off, and then you wait. Once you get that reply back, that specific exchange is totally finished. If you want to ask something else, well, you have to start the whole process over again. A brand new letter, a brand new stamp.
And this breaks it down perfectly. The client connects, it asks for something, the server answers, but then, look at that last step. Connection closes. That is the absolute key to understanding HTTP. The line goes dead after every single exchange. It was never designed for an ongoing chat.
And that leads us to this really important concept. HTTP is stateless. It means a server has absolutely no memory of your past requests. Every time you click a new link, it's like you're meeting the server for the very first time. Now, this makes building simple websites way easier, but you can probably already see how that would be just awful for something that needs constant updates, right? Like a live stock ticker or a chat room.
So to solve that exact problem, developers came up with something new. If HTTP is like sending a polite, one-and-done letter, WebSocket is like having a dedicated open phone line.
Okay, that sounds a little technical, I know, but the only words you really need to care about here are full-duplex and persistent. Persistent just means the connection stays open. And full-duplex, that just means both sides can talk at the same time, whenever they want. It's a true two-way conversation.
And this phone line analogy is just perfect. You make one call, the server picks up, and you just keep that line open for as long as you need it. The server can now push information to you, like a new chat message or an updated game score, without you having to constantly ask for it. It's proactive, not just reactive. Now, here's the really clever part. A WebSocket connection actually starts its life as a normal HTTP request. The client just sneaks in this special little upgrade header. If the server is cool with it, it responds with 101 switching protocols, and poof, the connection literally transforms from a one-off HTTP request into a persistent two-way WebSocket channel. It's pretty cool.
All right, now that we've met the two main players, let's put them side by side. Let's really see how they stack up against each other. And this table just lays it all out, doesn't it? The contrasts are so clear. HTTP is one way at a time. WebSocket is two-way. HTTP is temporary. WebSocket is permanent. But the ones to really focus on are overhead and latency. Because HTTP has to send all this descriptive info with every single tiny request, it's just inherently slower and way less efficient for lots of small updates. And this quote from Geeks for Geeks just nails it, right? It's the core difference. One is a series of disconnected statements, while the other is a continuous free-flowing dialogue. And that difference changes everything.
Let's just zero in on that overhead thing for a sec. Think of HTTP headers as the big envelope, the address and the stamp on every single letter. For one letter, that's fine. But imagine you need to send 1,000 separate messages, each with just one word in them. Sending 1,000 giant envelopes would be incredibly wasteful, right? WebSocket sends one big envelope for the initial handshake and then just zips the tiny messages back and forth. So much more efficient.
So this all leads to the most important question, really. When do you use which one? Because it's all about picking the right tool for the right job.
And this slide makes it crystal clear. HTTP is still perfect for all the classic web stuff. Loading pages, downloading files, things that happen once and you're done. But for anything that needs to feel live and instant, think about Slack messages popping up as they're typed or watching your Uber driver move on the map. Well, WebSocket is the undeniable champion there.
So, to put it simply, here's your mental checklist. If you need real-time feedback, if you need the server to be able to talk to you whenever it wants, and if you're sending tons of small, frequent updates, yep, you're in WebSocket territory.
Oh, and here's a neat little detail. You know secure HTTP, right? HTTPS, and secure WebSocket, or WSS? They both typically use the exact same network port, port 443. Now, why does that matter? Because pretty much all firewalls and corporate networks are already set up to let traffic through on that port, which makes it way easier for WebSocket connections to just work anywhere.
So at the end of the day, this isn't a battle of which one is better. That's not the right way to think about it. They're just different tools for different jobs. In fact, most of the apps you use every day use both. You'll loot the main page of a site using HTTP, but the second you open up the chat window, it seamlessly switches over to a WebSocket to handle that real-time conversation.
So what we're seeing is a web that holds two kinds of conversations at the same time. It uses the polite, turn-based language of HTTP to build its solid foundation, and then it uses the constant open line of WebSockets to bring that foundation to life. And as our world demands more and more of that instant collaborative experience, you have to wonder, what's the next evolution in how the web learns to